All right. Hey, good morning, y'all. Today I want to talk about awareness, discernment, and community because I feel like in discipline as well. Because I feel like those are four things that I'm just really trying to focus and build. You know, um, I'm kind of an introvert to community. I'm not even really worried about that just yet, but really just my discipline, my discernment, and awareness because you kind of have to start, I think, with awareness. Everyone's journey is different, but I'm just trying to get better every day and trying to figure out ways how to improve and trying to develop repetitions and keep these ideas in my mind and learn ways to explain them. Not only just for other people, but for myself, so that I can live the life that I'm trying to, I don't know, promote. And it starts with awareness because without awareness, you can't really, you're just kind of flying blind. You're not really aware a lot of times, just because we're so caught up in our own ego and what we want, you know, what to basically satisfy, satiate our desires, and not only like our big desires, but also our primal desires. When it comes to eating and lust or whatever it is. And so yeah, you kind of need to start with awareness to really figure out, like, okay, like, what am I eating today? What am I doing? What are my thoughts? How do I talk to myself? How do I communicate with others? And then discernment. Like, what are the choices I'm making in the moment? Like, and I mean, because we all have a vision of how we want to act and how we want to be. We've all replayed situations and conversations, and man, I wish I said this, or I wish I said that. I wish I didn't react that way. That's where discernment comes into play. It's a muscle. All these things are muscles that you have to practice, and that takes repetitions. That takes time, repetitions, awareness, really, so that you can replay these events and visualize yourself handling them better, handling them in the way that you want to handling in a way that's like kind of that highest frequency for yourself, that vibration you really want to emit to other people and for yourself. And so yeah, I think it discernment is a very key thing, and it kind of goes. It's almost like a little circular thing because you start with awareness. You want to act this way, and then you have discernment. You make choices, and then you kind of have to go back and rewind a little bit and go back to your awareness, is like, and reevaluate your discernment and your choices, and really just solidify that foundation so that no matter, I think what it is that when of course we want to act a certain way. We want to just go into this new identity, and but it's easier said than done. And I think with awareness, you can kind of see those decisions. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here, but you can you can see those decisions and replay them and find ways to improve. And I think that's what it comes down to, is really just getting better every day and using awareness and discernment to do that. And then there's also discipline. Discipline is a big one because that's kind of your routines, that's your habits, and that really kind of forges the identity that you want. It really just solidifies and strengthens that foundation so that your discernment is just, is unbreakable. Because, oh, this is kind of what I want to say earlier, is that we want to act a certain way, we want to be in a certain identity, but when we're stressed out, or when we're faced with difficult choices, or when we're around the wrong groups of people, discernment, your power of discernment, the identity you want to step into, is much, much harder, much more difficult. And if you can be disciplined enough to exercise that level of discernment to align with the identity and frequency you want to emit in those stressful moments, in those times where maybe everyone is against you and you're being persuaded one way or the other, man, congratulations. I feel like that's where you've actually really just evolved, and you're making a turning, and because it's difficult. You can say and be, may want to be a certain way, but when you get in certain environments, or you get in certain stress, it's like a relationship. Things could be going great, you're in the honeymoon phase, but how are things if you lose your job, or you're going through stressful moments or conversations or times? How's that relationship then? What's it like? How toxic is it? Whether that's personal, like romantic, or friendship relationships or familial relationships, because toxic relationships can appear anywhere. And yeah, that takes, like I said, it takes firm discipline, awareness, and discernment to really find the true alignment with your highest self. And the last thing I kind of want to touch on, community. I mean, I think it's extremely important as well. I don't know why I'm not really focused on it as much. I think it's because I feel like I still have a lot of inner work to do. But community is super important, and granted, I'm kind of an introvert, so I think it's okay, like for me to not really. I mean, this is kind of my form of community. My family and my personal relationship. Like, I only have a few like really strong personal relationships at the moment. But yeah, like it's important, because I set very high standards with who I want to communicate on a regular basis, because your environment has such an influence on you. So um, that's why, like, even at work, man, like I hear people get involved in conversations. Sometimes I want to jump in, but I'm like, I stop myself. I'm like, I don't even want to get involved in this conversation. Like, I don't. You get roped in, and then I don't know, like it just throws your vibration off a little bit. I'm working on my own. Like, if they ask, or if they ask my opinion or whatever, and they want to include me, hey, that's one thing. But I'm not going to jump in and force myself into a conversation just because it's around me, you know. Because there's other things in life, or other things I want to think about and devote energy to, I suppose. So yeah, it's community is super important to just surround yourself with the right people. And it's really difficult nowadays, just because I think we're so separated. But I think it's also at the tip of our fingers, because we can find people online. We can find a lot of different communities. It's just that a lot of these communities are built with these like capitalistic structures that are meant to distract you, and maybe bring you together with the wrong crowds, so that you stay on their algorithm, you know longer, or whatever. You know what I mean? There's just like a lot of just nefarious things like online. And so again, I mean, that's where discernment comes into play and awareness comes into play, because you have to kind of be aware. And there's so many things, like so much media and content out there. That's why I think discernment's so important, because you could listen to someone. I mean, let's just take someone really controversial like Andrew Tate. You can listen to him, and he might make some really good points. You know what I mean? You're like, dang, like, man, this man's right. But then he goes off in this other tangent. You're like, okay, wait a minute. Like, I don't know. That sounds a little toxic. That sounds something that doesn't align with me. You have to have that discernment, and that's okay. And that doesn't mean that you should like or not like the guy, or it could be the same thing for someone. Maybe if you have a strong political belief or a strong political leaning, you know, that you can't just automatically dismiss someone on the other side of the aisle, or someone that has a different viewpoint, different religion, or whatever, different culture, because they can make some really strong points that might open your world, or open your perspective, and have an impact on your life. But you kind of have to have that discernment to kind of stop yourself and be like, okay, like, all this makes sense, but yeah, this part is just not for me. And yeah, and we all have that journey, or that power to be able to do that. I was trying to sneak myself in here, but I don't think I'm going to. Anyway, I think I've ranted long enough. I appreciate your listening view, and let me go off on that. Let me know if you have any comments. As always, many blessings and peace and love out there. Just want to spread that out to you. I like open hands, because I feel like when I open my hand, I open energy out to you. So yeah, I hope you feel that. And I wish nothing but the best, and I'll see you next time.